get started. So thank you guys for coming. Who's first time at Body by Course? Yeah, okay, cool. Cool. All right, there is a sign-in sheet going around. After the presentation, both Patrick and Andy are going to send the presentations out so you guys can check them out, as well as possibly some extra resources. So, both Patrick and Andy, they've spent the last semester with us as interns through their APK program at UF, Applied Physiology and Kinesiology. This is part of their final project. They're going to be graduating in about 2 weeks. So they put together the presentation from start to finish. They're going to be covering 2 topics today. Patrick's going to be covering heart rate training, and Andy is going to be covering kettlebell training. So I think they're going to be about 30 minutes. So without further ado, take it away, gentlemen.
Awesome. So, as many of you know, I'm Patrick, and for those of you who don't, I'm still Patrick. It's great to see everybody here. I think we have like, what, 10% of our gym here right now? You can go by percentage, so that's pretty good. So I'd like to start off by saying, at any point, if anybody has questions, a lot of this builds on top of what I mentioned earlier in the PowerPoint, so just go ahead and stop me and I can go ahead and help clarify just so that everybody's on the same page, because it's for you, it's not for me. I've made it, so first we're going to start with what the cardiovascular system is, because that's kind of the bread and butter of what heart rate training is how are we going to get oxygen and nutrients to our muscles. So this cardiovascular system consists of our heart, arteries, veins, and capillaries, and these are what transfers blood through our system, and the blood carries oxygen, nutrients, and everything that we need to power our muscles. So, as you saw on the bottom of the last slide, we need increased blood flow during exercise, and so that is what we call cardiac output. So that is how much blood is pumped from your heart into your body every minute. And it's a surprisingly high amount of blood when you think about like just the massive volume of it. So it's a product of heart rate and stroke volume. So the amount of pumps every minute is your heart rate, and the stroke volume is the amount of blood that is pumped per beat. So every time your heart beats, that is the amount that's pumped out. So here you can see 5 liters per minute at rest. So all of you right now, after about 5 minutes, you're getting your resting heart rate. You're pumping about 5 liters of blood through your body. Now for highly trained individuals, during heavy exercise, that will go up 5-fold to 25 liters of blood. So if you think about that, that's quite a bit of blood, and then it's also redistributed across all of everything that needs blood, such as our internal organs, digestive tract, our heart, kidneys, muscles, brain, and skin. So what happened? Oh, I'm sorry. You've seen this twice. So our body's needs get redistributed, and the size of these little dots right here shows about the liter amount, so the percentage of this amount is about this big. And so you see 20 to 25% during rest goes to our internal organs. But during exercise, almost the same amount of blood goes to those organs, but it's only 3 to 5% of the 25 liters. But the big thing that I want to point out is, while this is quite a small percentage for resting, 15 to 20% going to muscles. That's about 0.75 liters. And then up here, on our nice little window, we can see 70 to 85% of our blood goes to muscles during exercise. So that equals 20 liters of blood going through our muscles, and that, once again, is a product of our stroke volume and heart rate. So go ahead. All right, so going along with the exercise, increasing our cardiac output, getting our heart rate going. These are some of the adaptions that we see. We have cardiovascular, muscular, and bone. So cardiovascular is just that system that I just talked about with our arteries, veins, capillaries, and heart. And there's something called angiogenesis, which is our capillaries become denser throughout our muscles when we adapt to physical exercise over a time of months and years. So if you think about it, up here on top, that is a untrained individual, somebody who's very sedentary, who doesn't exercise. And then down the bottom would be like Lance Armstrong, maybe. So there's both sides of it. And then everybody is in between, and everybody has the potential to lower their capillary density or increase it. And so the higher that it is, the more you're able to get blood to the tissues that need it. So muscular, there's an increased mitochondrial density. So if your muscles need more energy, if you think back to 6th grade biology, your mitochondria are an organelle that at the cellular level create energy for your muscles and every other cell, but particularly for your muscles. And with exercise, the amount of those go up, so you're able to create more energy. Increased hemoglobin production, so that's what actually carries the oxygen through your body. So with heavy exercise and stressing that cardiovascular system, making your heart beat, your lungs suck in more oxygen, you're going to have more hemoglobin to carry that oxygen. And then as always, with any kind of exercise, you're going to have bone growth and strengthening, which is really great for preventing osteoporosis or breakage later in life. So now we're going to go on the factors that go into our heart rate and our stroke volume, and we're going to see some similarities. So go ahead and hit it again. All right, so you have these lists of things that go into them, into what can increase your heart rate, make your heart rate more sustainable, and then also for your stroke volume. Most of these things you can't really control, such as your gender, your heart size, your duration of contraction. Who knows what that is? But so you can't really. I do. But you can't really control those smaller factors. But go ahead and hit it again. The one that you can't control is your fitness level, right? So you can exercise, you can run, you can get that heart rate up, and then as you can see, your heart rate and stroke volume are multiplied together. So I believe we have math teacher in here somewhere. I think. So that's called an exponential, right? So when you increase your fitness level, it exponentially increases the amount of blood that you can pump through your body, and it increases the amount of fuel that can get to your muscles, that can produce that output that you're looking for with exercise. So go ahead. And then that's kind of shown with this graph. So this is your heart rate as it goes up, and then this with your intensity of exercise. And then this is the stroke volume as it goes up with your intensity of exercise. And that maxes out about 50%. Nope. So that just shows right here that exponential growth, and it slows down after about 50%. And then you'll get up there to 20 or 22 liters per minute. There. All right, so that is what gives us kind of our heart rate reserve. This is just a term that's used to describe the difference between your resting heart rate, so what you all are at right now, and then your maximal heart rate. So if you're working the hardest that you've ever done, and you can feel your heart beating through your chest, maybe doing like stadiums, sprints, you're really trying. So this is our heart rate max is determined by our age, so we can't really change that, but you can change your resting heart rate by working out and stretching your heart. because then when it's resting, it knows, okay, well, I'm all right. I can do this, because when you're exercising, you have all those adaptions, and then your heart doesn't have to work as hard because you have more mitochondria, you have more hemoglobin, and you're carrying more oxygen, so you don't have to pump as much blood. Go ahead. And then, so that's what this is. Heart rate max minus heart rate reserve. Hit it one more time. And then we get this. So here's our at rest and our max. And that is what we're going to work with for our heart rate training. So, you can't go below your resting, you can't go above your max. So that's the area that we're going to look in to factor out and say, okay, well, this is what I want my heart rate to be, and this is where it's going to go. So, and then the zones that we're talking about are still expressed in percent of heart rate max. So from here, 0 to 193, but then this is the area that we're working in, but it's still expressed as a percentage of this larger number. Go ahead. Now here's a graph that shows, or a diagram that shows our different training zones. So these are the divisions in heart rate reserve that we use to show what intensity of work that we're at any given time during an exercise. So there's different goals that you can set for an exercise, like I want to run like a long distance at a lower heart rate, or I want to work for a short amount of time at a very high heart rate. And then this can also be used as an indicator of the fuel, so carbohydrates or fats that you're burning in order to result in the power output that you're putting into that exercise. So here's, I've overlaid it with your percent of heart rate max and the fuel that's being used during your exercise. So as you can see, from about 50 to 70%, you're using mainly fat. That's because your body has plenty of oxygen, and so it can break down that fat that's stored in your body, and it's flowing through your blood. Sounds kind of nasty, but it is. That's what goes into your cells and fuels it when you have plenty of oxygen for your cells to use to break that down. Now, when you get into higher intensity workouts, you don't need quite as much oxygen to break down carbohydrates, so that is what your body turns to, and it's a more ready fuel source. It's already sitting there in your muscles, being stored for use. You got about 2,000 grams of 2,700? 270 grams stored in your muscles, sorry, thank you. Stored in your muscles and liver at any one time that you can use for exercise. Some of you may have heard of carbo loading, and that can effectively increase the amount of carbohydrates that are stored in your body at any one time for that marathon or like super long duration, so you don't hit that wall where you don't have any more energy. So go ahead. All right, so what can you do with this? You can set goals, right? So you might want to lose fat all around your body. You might want to increase your heart health. Your doctor may say you need to lower that cholesterol. You need to, you're at risk for heart disease, things like that. You might want to increase your sprint speed and how long you can maintain that power. Or you might want to just be able to, maximize the power, and then maximize kind of the stamina of it. So those are some different goals that you can have for using a heart rate training plan. And go back real quick. But then all of your goals should be specific, measurable, attainable, reliable, and time-bound. So that's a free lesson for all of you anywhere in life when you set a goal. That's what it should be, because then you can go back, look at it, say, if it's not specific, then how can you know if it's measurable or attainable? And then if it's not relevant, then why are you thinking about it? If it's not time-bound, then how are you going to look back on it? So this is our goal setting. It's once you set your goal, like, okay, I want to tone down some of the fat, or I want to be able to run 5-minute miles for 3 miles, something like that. You're going to choose one of these different plans that focus on using the energy system that you want to use to attain your goal. So with these, I've used running as the base workout, but you can do this with any kind of workout imaginable, as you'll see in a little bit. So you can go on a long, slow run, which is going to keep your heart rate down, and it's going to focus on burning fat during that exercise. Or down here at the bottom, you can maximize power by doing sprints and 95 to 100% heart rate max, and then that's going to push that upper limit to how long you can stay at that max for those sprints. So this is you're recording your progress. So you want to be able to set those goals, and then you want to say, all right, what am I measuring? And then you want to be able to record it regularly using some tools that we can talk about. You want to record your resting heart rate regularly, because like I said, when you exercise and get that heart rate up, it's going to drive down your resting heart rate because you have more capillaries, you have more mitochondria, you have more hemoglobin. So it's going to drive that resting heart rate down, which is good because higher heart rate is dangerous to your health. You don't want to overwork your heart ever. And then each month you want to check your progress and reassess your goals. So time bound would be that month cycle, that 3-month cycle, that 9-month cycle. You have visions for yourself, and you want to check your progress and then reassess the goals and make new goals. And then we'll move on because we're going to touch on that a little later. So here's some exercises that can increase your heart rate. Some of them are very traditional. You might think about it when somebody says, all right, well, how are we going to get your heart rate up? And then there's less traditional methods that have come around more recently. I guess they did aerobics and jazzercise back in the 80s. But so you've got exercises like running, biking, rowing, jump roping that kind of monotonous, but they definitely do what they're supposed to do. They get your heart rate up. And then your less traditional methods could be CrossFit, intense lifting, as Andy's about to show us, kettlebell training, and even Zumba, jazzercise, things like that. Go ahead. And then what does that mean? It means that heart rate training can be used by anybody. Anybody from our most sedentary individual to our highly trained athletes. Because on the bottom of the scale, you'll see people make huge gains in short periods of time. Their resting heart rate is going to go down. The level at which they can keep their heart rate sustained at for a longer period of time will increase very quickly. And then for elite athletes, you can kind of pinpoint where you have the most power and the most stamina in your heart rate range, and you can keep it there for longer amounts of time. So, like I said, it's for anybody. So I did, the other day, some rowing, some jump rope, some kettlebell swings, and my goal was to keep my heart rate in a specific zone. So this shows my average heart rate over here on the right during the duration of the exercise, 143 beats per minute, 146, and 149 beats per minute. So what that does is it lets you know, okay, how intense is the exercise that I'm doing, and then what kind of fuel source is it using. As you can see, using heart rate training, you can see how many calories you burn during the exercise. When you look on the back of the package, and you're like, wow, it's like 250 calories, and you go to the gym, you're on the treadmill, and you're like, really, I've been running for like 5 minutes, and that's 12 calories. You're burning calories all day, but during exercise, it's elevated. So one thing that I really love about heart rate training is it's specific to you, right? So you have a tool that can factor in your height, your weight, your gender, your age, your heart rate, which a lot of other, like treadmills and stuff can't really get that personal picture of you. And then this is a lot more reliable than something you'd see in the gym. So, what's another thing that's different between rowing, jump rope, and kettlebell swings? They all use different muscle groups. So jump rope, you got your arms going and you got your calves working, and that kind of quicker pace will get that heart rate up, as you can see, pretty quickly, and it's easy to maintain for a long amount of time. For rowing, it's definitely very easy. You're using your legs, your glutes, your core, your back, your shoulders. So it's more of a full body exercise, but you still get the same cardiovascular results. So if you like that whole body exercise, then you can do rowing. And then kettlebell swings, as we're going to see, engages a lot of the same muscles, but it's a little bit slower because there's more resistance. So there's going to be more muscle gain than, say, doing jump rope. So if you want to do heavy lifting and you want to stay in this certain heart rate zone, then you can do that. If you want to jump rope and you want to stay in the same zone, get the same benefits from the heart rate perspective, then you can do that. If you want to go for a long run and stay in that zone, then you can do that. It's perfect for the beginner, the advanced athletes, and then it's very measurable and specifically tailored to you. Go ahead. All right, so now we're going to move into selecting your heart rate monitor. A lot of them have the same features, but they might be presented different ways. One thing you want to make sure of is some of them don't include like heart rate straps, as you'll see right here, which essentially goes around your chest to get that electronic signal from your body. Does it have website support? So does it graph? Like those graphs that I showed you on the earlier slide were directly from the Garmin website, which I use to track my heart rate. Does it have integration with other technology, phones, computers, things like that? Does it have heart rate zone indicators? So will it tell you on the watch what zone that you're in? If you're working in that 50 to 70% to burn fat, are you working that 95 to 100% to maximize power and speed? And then is it waterproof? Is it nice and small so it's not like a brick on your wrist if you're going to be using it for running? Is it, does it have customizable data fields that you can see that actually show what you want to look at instead of something that may not be relevant to you or the exercise that you're doing? And then this is a website, and I'll send out the PowerPoint that you guys can look at and kind of decide, is heart rate training for you? And if it is, you can ask me any questions. I'll include my email in that question or in that email, and you can decide for yourselves. Are there any questions?
Oh man.
That's great. Yeah.
Could you tell us a way that we could monitor our heart rate without a heart rate monitor?
Yeah. So, real quick, if everybody, you're sitting down, you get your resting heart rate, you can take 2 fingers, not your thumb, and place it below your thumb, and you might be able to feel your heart rate. Or if you are more comfortable with feeling it in your neck, you can place it about to the right of your Adam's apple in what